And now, Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? It's Bucky Brooks and Lance Z representing today on the Move the Sticks podcast. Lance, what is going on? How you holding up in this free agent frenzy?
Oh, man, it started off hot and heavy. I was like, man, it didn't – with all the trades that got it kicked off, I was like the pre-free agency, and you got DK moving and you got Geno moving and the quarterback carousel is shuffling. And then here in Houston, you know, you got off of Laramie Tunsil in a trade, and then all these free agent signings are coming in. It's crazy to see like how quickly the money has escalated at so many positions. It's like I can't even process Daniel Jones getting $14 million. But then when you look, you know, at backup rates, and especially backups who may have a chance to start, like that's what backup quarterbacks make now.
That is what
you get 18. You get $14 million. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's what they make. That's what they're always gonna make. It's kind of crazy, right? Because you think about the money that Justin Fields got from the Jets, which puts him at $20 million per. Look, he got it guaranteed. I love it, but he is the lowest paid starter of anyone that's not a rookie. And then Daniel Jones goes into Naptown competing with Anthony Richardson, and you got to think that he is on the inside track to win that job. He's making $14 million. You have Geno Smith swapped out in the Pacific Northwest. Sam Darnold comes in to Seattle and basically signs the Baker Mayfield contract plus a little extra, little sprinkle on top. It's crazy to think about like the quarterback carousel, how it's spinning, and we're still waiting to see what Pittsburgh and New York are going to do respectively. And the names that you hear out there, Russell Wilson, you have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody else outside of that. If I'm Russell Wilson, you know how we used to play that musical chairs on the yard, and they get the one chair and they're spinning around.
Yeah.
They better hurry up and figure it out because not many seats left for the dance.
No, there's not. And, you know, they gotta get this thing like Rodgers going to Pittsburgh. It feels like it's a done. I mean, I don't want to say done deal, but it's feeling like there's just, you're out of spots. You're out of chairs, as you said, and you're out of people playing the game. So if Aaron gets that last spot, I don't know what happens to, I don't know what happens to Russell Wilson. I don't know where Russ goes. He'll have to go somewhere where he's got a chance to compete as a starter, or he's got a chance to be a really above average backup, a good backup who can step in and start and maybe win some games for you. So it'll be interesting to see. I know this, though, Buck. It's, you know, the Geno Smith move for the Raiders. I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that says something about their thoughts about Shadur Sanders, if they don't think Shedeur is the guy that they want to target and they want a bridge quarterback for the next, couple years, a year, so that they can kick the can down the road for a quarterback, maybe in a different round other than first round, or maybe in a different year. I don't know if it means, hey, let's put him here and we'll still draft Shadur Sanders 6th. The conversations that I got into at the Combine, I just didn't find NFL teams. It wasn't really about attitude. It was really about they had a second round or third round grade on them. And
no, that's bananas. But look, it only takes one.
Yep.
Like it is funny though, because the conversation, and we'll have this extended conversation on these quarterbacks. It's so interesting to me to hear the conversation about Shadur Sanders and people say, oh, he doesn't have this, but then the buzz that Tyler Shutt is getting over whatever. And I'm like, man, if you look at their collegiate careers, it's not even close in terms of the production and what they've accomplished. But here's where we are at this stage of the process. And it's funny you brought up Shadur Sanders. I feel like every podcast has to do it. But Lance, what if I told you that I'm looking at the move that the Cleveland Browns made to acquire Kenny Pickett?
Yeah.
And it leads me to believe that Shadur Sanders would be the pick for them when they take a quarterback.
I could see it. I don't know that they do it with the second pick, but see, in my last mock, I had them taking Travis Hunter and then moving back into the first because they have 2 third-round picks. So I had them moving back in the first and taking Shadur Sanders, in the 20s. I actually could see that. Because then you got a chance to have a real competition. And you want, in that situation, I think you would want Shedeur to win that job. A lot of times you want quarterbacks that, to sit behind veterans. That could be the case in Cleveland. It gives you the option either way if that were to happen. If you draft Shedeur at the second pick of the draft, I don't know if it changes how you approach the quarterback situation.
Mhm.
I mean, it's never a bad thing for a rookie to get some times with mental reps on the bench and kind of. But the thing that's different with Shedeur is I think he's wired a little differently than some of these other quarterbacks. I think he's actually he's a guy who I think has a lot of confidence. I don't think he's easily shaken. So, I mean, to me, I think Shadur Sanders maybe could handle. Man, there's always the speed of the game and the X's and O's and stuff like that. It's going to be hard for any rookie. But sometimes I feel like Shadur Sanders might be able to handle a little more of the pressure of the glare than maybe any of the other quarterbacks in this draft. It's one of the things that I kind of like about him. Doesn't have an elite arm. Doesn't even I think he has a very average arm, but he throws with accuracy. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. But I did wonder, though, to put it back in free agency, Buck, I did wonder how many of these moves were directly tied to looking at this quarterback draft and saying, we're going to pass this year, or we're going to pass in the first round. Then all bets are off in the second or third round. I don't know how that plays out.
Yeah, no. So I do think the run on quarterbacks that we've seen in free agency is a direct reaction to what everyone had a chance to see from the quarterbacks at the combine. The reason why I mentioned Kenny Pickett maybe paving the way for Shadur Sanders to go there had little to do with the pick, whether it's the second pick or whatever. Stylistically, a lot of times you see people stack the quarterback room with similar types. And so when you see the Browns move off of DTR, athletic playmaker, they send him out, they bring Kenny Pickett in, who's more of a traditional pocket passer. Maybe this is Kevin Stefanski saying, hey, let's ready our playbook, let's ready our scheme for someone that is more of a traditional passer, as opposed to what we had in the past, where we had these athletic quarterbacks. And, they kind of had a hodgepodge. They had Deshaun, who was athletic, Jameis, DTR, and none of the pieces fit. Maybe this is Kevin Stefanski saying, hey, I want to make sure everybody in this room is kind of similarly skilled, so I don't have to do multiple learning, create multiple playbooks for our offense to operate if one of those guys is not in the lineup.
Yeah, that's good intel. That's a good way to think of that, And you don't know, this is Kenny Pickett's fourth year, I think. He had 2 at Pittsburgh, 1 last year.
Yeah.
Kenny kind of came out of nowhere. He was a 1-year wonder out of Pitt. The numbers his last year didn't match any of the other numbers. They were crazy. And so maybe he's a guy that kind of gets it a little bit now in year 4. Maybe he's ready to be a bridge quarterback for another quarterback coming. I don't know if he's ready to pull the full on Sam Darnold, but
you never know.
I mean, you never know. I mean, he did have some talent coming out. I thought the poise was something in the pocket that kind of bothered me a little bit coming out of college. I didn't think he handled it great in Pittsburgh, but that was a lot to put on his plate in Pittsburgh as well. There were some really big wide receiver personalities in that room that can make it a little tougher on on quarterback sometime as well. So you never know, but free agency is off and running, and man, these numbers are crazy. What'd you think about Myles Garrett re-signing? I thought he was
You mean the guy who said he never gonna put the uniform on? I gotta be up out here. It's funny, Lance. It's funny when they slide that big old check over there. It'll make you renege on a lot of things that you said. I'm out of here. I need to be with a winner, the contender. Yeah, hey Lance, we'll pay you $40 million for. Hey, you know what? I'm back. I love it here. I would never leave Lake Erie. This is what I've always wanted. Gray skies and snow most of the year. Like, this is the perfect place for me to build a family and put roots down. I'm excited. Now, I think, look, I never thought the Cleveland Browns were going to move off of Myles Garrett. When you talk about the kind of talent that he is, 4 straight seasons where he's had over 14 or 15 sacks. He's been a dominant player. He is one of the guys that we absolutely can put the generational talent tag on. He's been as advertised for the Browns, and I understand why they wanted to pay him, and I also understood why when they give you $88 million to sign, why you signed that right away. And you're like, yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to win, but I'm certainly going to be rich, and I may have a chance to go down the street and kind of find a new bust in the Hall of Fame. So I understand that part of it.
I've got, I really wonder if he just said, if he came to the realization that Cleveland wasn't going to move him, and he just said, I might as well take a bunch of money then. I mean, because I can see how he would want to get out and try and see what it's like to win, at a higher level. Because it feels like Cleveland's got a lot of work to do right now.
They do.
Giving away so many picks. I mean, the Deshaun Watson stuff was just such a killer for that organization. And I can see him wanting to get out. I mean, I understand it. He wants to go out and have a chance. But I mean, if you don't think you're going to, you might as well take that payday, I guess.
It's time for the lead block, presented by T-Mobile for Business. Football needs a network willing to go the extra yard. So do you. Go further with T-Mobile for Business. Lance, I'm going to get on you because I know this used to be your man before he became the GM of the Chicago Bears. The Bears have gone all in on trying to upgrade their squad. So let's talk about what the Bears have done in free agency, whether you like it or not. The first thing they went out and did, they upgraded the offensive line, acquired Jonah Jackson via trade from the Rams for a 6th-round pick. Joe Thuney comes over in a trade from the Chiefs for a 4th-round pick in 2026. Drew Dahlman is signed, 3-year, $42 million contract, $28 million guaranteed. Lance, your boy Ryan Poles has been listening. He's been listening to X. He's been listening to the streets. He's trying to fix the offensive line so that this team can pop. What do you think about what the moves?
Protect Caleb Williams or you're gone at the end of the year. I mean, I think he's one of the GMs that is in the crosshairs right now, and he needs to win. He needs to show growth. And the best way to do that is show that the guy you drafted first ahead of Jaden Daniels is up there in the same category with Jaden Daniels. And the best way to do that is before you can tell if he is or not, you got to protect him and you got to give him a chance. Now, he's got to stop hanging on the ball so long and all that. But, you added good football players. I think Jonah Jackson is solid. Joe Thuney's a good guard. He'll be a good player for you. Drew Dahlman allows you he's a zone scheme center who can get out in space and get to angles. And I think he can help the run game from a zone scheme standpoint. Ben Johnson, I would assume, had maybe some say in these guys. I don't know if he really got in there and if he even has an opinion on offensive line. I don't know. But, because Drew Dahlman is a zone scheme center, I think that kind of tells you what they're going to be heavy into in Chicago. But I like it for Ryan Poles because you didn't give up any 1st-round picks. You had a lot of money to spend. You immediately went after the offensive line. If you want to really swing the sword, you can go at an offensive lineman in the 1st round with the 10th pick, or maybe trade back, still get a left tackle if you want to put competition over there at the left tackle spot. Or, now you are close enough to being where you need to be that you can maybe wait a full round, maybe even 2 rounds before you attack another tackle position. I still think they need competition at the left tackle spot. So it wouldn't shock me if they looked at tackle with the 1st-round pick. But I like it. I mean, he's given himself a chance. He's got some weapons on offense. Poles I'm talking about. And now Caleb Williams. Now I will say the wide receiver spot, it'll also be interesting to see what they do at wide receiver because DJ Moore didn't do a whole lot. Keenan Allen's best days are gone. Obviously, Rome Odunze is the dude. I think they'll look at tightening up the wide receiver spot as well. But I like it. For me, I mean, it wasn't where it needed to be. We got money to spend. Let's go get some guys.
No, so I like it in terms of Ben Johnson leaning into what made him successful in Detroit. I think it's really important as a head coach and play caller that the ingredients that served you well. In Detroit became the monster because of that offensive line being able to dominate. They had versatility up front. They could go from zone scheme to gap scheme. They could bully you at the point of attack because it has some monsters. And these are solid players. I can't say that they're the bullies that he left in Motown, but it certainly gives them an opportunity to be who they want to be on offense. You're playing in the Windy City. You're dealing with the elements. You're also dealing with a division that prides itself in physicality and toughness. The only way to beat the bullies is you got to be able to hit the bully in the mouth. The Bears are better served to hit the bully in the mouth. And, oh, by the way, they might have set their quarterback up for more success because they finally have an offensive line, and they may have a commitment to the running game that should allow Caleb Williams to have success.
And Grady Jarrett. They added Grady Jarrett in the middle too. So I know it's not, it's on the other side. We're still talking trench football because the Lions, build the trenches, both sides of them, and let's go get a Jahmyr Gibbs and a David Montgomery, and let's go wreck you. And that's kind of what, they've got all the right little pieces in place. And so, but it starts in the trenches, man. That's where the heart and soul of teams a lot of times beat. And you got to get that right. And I think Ryan Poles is doing everything he can. It may work, it may not work, but he needs it to work right away for job security. I don't think there's any question about that.
It absolutely has to work. And I would say this, I think if you pair DeAndre Swift with maybe a guy like a Caleb Johnson, that blend someone that is more like David Montgomery to Jahmyr Gibbs, that might work.
How about Travion?
Ooh, you can't go wrong with Travion Henderson.
Yeah, that's what I like too.
Being able to have the juice. So that's a wrap for the Lead Block presented by T-Mobile for Business. Football needs a network willing to go the extra yard. So do you. Go further with T-Mobile for Business. Lance, I love having conversations. I have to make this an abbreviated one because I got to go jump on free agent frenzy. So here's what we can do. We're going to work it out where we come back and we kind of complete the podcast because I feel like we kind of cheated the people. There's so many moves, but after Wednesday, we'll at least know where most of the movers and shakers are going. So maybe later in the week, me and you hop back on the podcast and kind of scrimmage it all out and talk about the moves that were there. Until then, until then, y'all make sure y'all watch NFL Network. Check the ticker to see where everyone is going. I am Bucky Brooks. That's Lance Z. This was Move the Sticks, the podcast. We'll check y'all next time.